It's been 3 years since that fateful plane crash which claimed all 7 people on board's lives. Each of these people I knew extremely well, and there are some things I need to sit and talk to you all about. It feels like a flood of memories, like I could sit and talk for hours about each one of these people, but I at least wanted to say something here briefly. It's certainly so far away from being a situation which people could easily handle. So many have had to put up with major life-changing events and adjustments since then. So it makes me feel even more for the people that now are having to be a part of something which could seem on the surface like an exciting moving forward church. But in actuality, it's a depressing series of morphing patterns resembling services, and the constantly being told so-and-so time is when all of these dismal, repeating pattern situations will magically change, like trying to get their hopes rallied, and then have to continually receive further letdowns as these things just very often evaporate and disappear. I didn't realize how disturbed I would be when I recently glimpsed more pictures from Elizabeth recently, who looks like she's possibly struggling with an eating disorder. I'm not 100% sure, yet many of you have said that's exactly what it looks like. Yet people or leadership who surround her seemingly don't say anything. Maybe they even no longer have the ability to speak out, and it looks to all the world like they're having parties over at Ashlon with people dancing around this little woman who looks to me like she's extremely struggling on the inside. So much laughter. And life keeps happening, and just nothing is feeling funny about this whole story with Gwen's and Elizabeth's Remnant Fellowship. To those people who've had to put up with people or remnant ex-spouses on top of having to make a life for yourselves and children with this increasingly terrifying economy, you are admired. So many are leaving or contemplating leaving this church, which it's much more than that. It's like their entire life, or practically their basis for living, or even the framework to some of their faith, which they've absolutely done and still are doing their best to give all the benefit of the doubt. Yet with each and every week that goes by, more of the benefit of the doubt slips away in pieces. I'm sorry for the people who had their lives slammed by the distressing times of Gwen's divorce and, in my opinion, adulterous courtship, and then her way too fast remarriage, as well as the horrible confusion of her changing doctrines. Your lives were again violently tossed around by the 7 people dying, as well as the havoc wreaked on this church from a very painfully accurate, as well as massively difficult to watch for church members, HBO Max documentary, and maybe also from the recent interview I finally felt that was time to accept. I'm regretful for those who had to see me in my own states of arrogance or sin, as well as a naive, unintelligent, with far too much false flattery given person who did much damage, as well as very little to contributing to fixing Remnant's serious issues in years past. I feel like I'm watching this whole thing play out from a window of a place where I can't really reach out and say anything, or clearly not make people change. And that's what I believe within myself anyways. You can't force or make someone else really change inwardly. But seeing people who I'd really gotten to know who cared so much for so many years, and watching these things fade or erode like the confidence which we all used to have. I'm sad we never got to do or experience something more exciting on the music front. There were awesome circumstances with certain things which absolutely everyone in leadership, as well as our whole worship leading team, plus many hundreds of members, were writing in and hoping to get these things out to the public, possibly seeing what it could do for this church. Yet Gwen Shamblin Laura would slam her hand down on her leather brown office desk and say, absolutely not. Though she was secretly having people film every single little time she had coffee or spoke randomly wherever she went, trying to make something happen for herself. She would say it all had to be in-house only or for God's church, stifling any hope there was or could be. One day she'd be excited with having huge marketing meetings and wanting to go on a countrywide tour, and the next day was the growth will all come and be from within, meaning babies born in Zion. We never knew how she was going to be from day to day, making it impossible to accomplish anything. So many events and things like that, always seeming to end with disappointment and lost as ever feelings. Her lack of trust caused her to be on the extreme end of controlling, especially coming from someone who taught for so many years to give God the control of your life and he'll give it back, or he'll give back. It wasn't certainly all directed at me. Everyone's gifts and situations had to be so micromanaged. Impossible lights were snuffed out, all for keeping an audience, as well as the fear of losing the all-important dream that she had 100% God's constant will in mind, never trusting. Long-term painful falling apart and losing credence. They all became so controlling, wanting to be the voice which was first and praising God and Gwen. Zero faith that they supposedly had truckloads of. Relationships deteriorated. Seeing people who were living secret sinful lives, saying nothing. Feeling like we're trapped on a ship which is headed straight to nowhere, or possibly even worse places. It would take a lifetime to unravel and explain or go into detail with all of the thousands of unfortunate situations, and with so many I was close to. I was taken advantage of, and believe it or not, especially in the last decade of my being there, treated like a common criminal. At the very least, someone not to be trusted and worse for many years. I could go into all of this in more detail, and I'll try to in months and years to come with videos and things like that. But there's certainly large amounts of irritation. And as frustrated as I've been, there's more of a sad feeling right at this point for the desperately hurting young people and the silently irritated, experienced older ones. But like I said, I'm somewhat feeling stuck here with very little I could change. At least I can say these words, but it's such a small thing. This is all such a depressing stretch of time, yet we have to keep setting one sad foot in front of the other. Until next time, keep it real.